Hey, Ransom. Let's see who else is here.
I'm gonna start
Al
this.
just came in.
Hey, Al. Good to see you, boy. Look at you. You're back in black. That's what you are. Wow. That's right.
L still, I owe L 100 Sansar dollars. Sorry, L, I have not. I have to update my method of payment, and I will do it right after this. I promise you. You get some. L was the best in my mind.
Best avatar. Awesome.
He should have won. Let's be honest. He was dressed as me. It was great. As a young me
He
without.
he dressed as you.
Yeah, you haven't seen that was the craziest Atlas hopping
Oh
ever
my
in
gosh.
the history of Atlas
I haven't
hoppings.
gotten through the video yet.
I mean, people say, you know what people say, that Atlas hopping is the greatest. Uh, okay, I'll shut up now. It's not my
Oh, it's time
fault.
to start. I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit the stream button,
Okay,
people.
me too. God.
All right. You do a music interlude, and I just kind of start. But hey, welcome everybody to this week's open mic. And our topic today, and we're hoping you brought with you because we announced it last week too, is a story about an emergency, like when you had to dial 911 or 011 or whatever the emergency
110.
number you dial in your country, because
Hmm.
something, something happened. Maybe not death defying, or maybe death defying that you survived, and or maybe not death defying, but more embarrassing, or you would have preferred, you know,
You would have
yeah,
preferred
you
not to be picked up by an ambulance,
correct, yes,
half naked
correct,
in your own vomit. Oops, too
yes.
soon.
Whoops, whoops.
What is your name, by the way? You didn't introduce yourself to the
Oh, I'm
streaming folks.
Shyla the Super Gecko, and this is
I
my
see.
co-host Draxter. And
Oh,
I'm gonna start us off. Can I start us off?
yeah, yeah. And I'm not even the co-host. I'm just a facilitator.
Oh,
Here's
hey, Entity. Glad you're here.
He
Glad
has
you're
a
here,
lab coat.
Entity.
Maybe he works for Linden Labs, plural.
Maybe so.
Finally got that joke.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
that joke never gets old.
Just
I
wondering in Discord, oh, what do you mean by too many S? Huh? Ah, it's not plural. Okay.
Come on,
Oh,
Ransom. You knew that. You knew that.
I'm
Oh my
telling you,
god.
I've never been in Second Life, and this is Sensor is my first
Oh
game
my god.
with Linden Lab, and
It's not a game.
yeah.
You triggered me again.
Just no, no.
Sorry.
Oh, this is funny. So
Let me
see,
get
I
his
thought you knew
medication.
that.
He just goes off every
Yeah.
time you
Give me
call
the
it a game.
medication
Wait a
so I
minute.
calm down about the Linden Lab plural thing.
So, okay. So I'll start us off with
Okay.
a story.
Oops.
It it's not so much an emergency as it involved a police officer, but
Uh-oh.
it wasn't it wasn't an emergency. In fact, this police officer turned out to be really, really quite nice about it. But I'd gone out drinking with my friends. This was when I used to drink. This is why I'm not allowed to drink anymore, by the way. And I went out with my friends, and we went to this bar called the Black Watch, and it served these pint-sized kamikazes that were electric blue in color, and so that's what you drank there. That
What
was
is
it's kind of
what is a
a
kamikaze?
kamikaze. It's got a lot of liquor in it. That's all I can say. It's got a lot of liquor and a little bit of a couple of other things, but mostly liquor.
An
And
olive.
so yeah, maybe an olive or a cherry. So I'm drinking these things, and suddenly I decide I just want to go home. And I
Hmm.
don't say goodbye to anybody or anything. I just walk out the back door of the bar, and I'm going to my car, and I'm trying to get the key. You know, it's back when cars had keys. I'm trying to get the key in the lock, and it won't go in, and I'm stumbling drunk, and suddenly into the alley pulls a police car.
And he says, "May I help you to put the
So
key?"
well,
Yeah.
so I said a little prayer. I said, God, if ever I got my key in the lock. Let it be now, right? But I couldn't do it, so he turns on that big bright light, so you can see what's going on, and he comes up and he says, yes, like you said, he said, is there a problem? And I said, well, I can't. And, I'm thinking, I'm trying to appear as sober as possible, but I'm just blitzed,
Hmm.
right? So I don't know how it appeared to him at all. But I said, well, I'm trying to get into my car. And he said, well, here, let me take a look. So I gave him my keys, and he looks and he goes, oh, well, the problem here is your key to the Toyota Tercel doesn't fit this Corvette.
That's funny. Oh my god. Oh my
So
god.
he
Oh my
he,
god.
he ensured I had a safe ride home, and
Oh my
I had good taste when I was drunk.
I mean, I don't want to probe too much with follow-up questions, but if a cop lets somebody who is completely hammered drive, I'm not so sure if that is a good cop.
No, no, he didn't let me drive. He
Okay,
didn't let
good,
me
good.
drive at all. No, he asked me if I'd had anything to drink. We went through all of that, and I said,
Just
I
had.
was like, no, I said, yeah, I've had a little, and I guess a little is relative,
Yeah,
like subjective.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so no, he ensured I had a cab to get home, and I had to
Awesome.
go find my car another day.
Oh my God, that is
He he
hilarious. So
he. That's why
emergency,
I
so
said, yeah, you got me a safe ride home.
that theme includes like you were saying, it includes some like an encounter with an emergency first responder of some kind without having been full of blood or something, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it can include that for sure. But it can include death-defying things too. So
Okay. So, and I want to say, if people don't feel comfortable using their voice, they can totally put
in the
in
chat, yeah, put it into
put
chat,
it
and
in the
I'll read
chat.
it for you.
Hmm. Oh, entity is a paid employee of what? I wonder. Linden Labs. That's why I have shut up. I can't hear voices now. Well, that's good. I used to hear voices, but that was when I was still in the institution.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, I only hear 64.
what voices?
Only 64.
Wait, the Joker
Yeah.
said, "I need a nurse. I have a broken arm." Uh, you know what I was wondering, Joker? How did you get these scars? No, don't tell us. Tell us later.
Don't tell us. Tell us later. Later.
So, who wants to go next with their story?
Who's up
Yeah,
next?
I could.
Ransom. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
All right.
I can share the story of my first own 911 call in Germany.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's 110 actually.
110, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I came home a year or 2 years ago and drove around the block looking for a parking spot and found one and got out. And then there was this yellow two-story building, and it's usually close at the street, usually over here. And from the second floor there was loud noise, and I saw one potted plant throwing from the
Falling
window,
down.
and I thought, okay, nothing hit, it just smashed on the street, nothing to do here, move along, okay, and then the second plant
That never happens in
just
Germany. Okay, yeah.
flew, and yeah, just hit the car, and I thought to myself, okay, that's where I draw the line, and yeah, I called the 911 line, and it was quite nervous actually. First call, and ever, who should I have found out the local district number for that
Hmm.
police district, or should I really call for this non-emergency like the 911? And yeah, okay, I called and I just described what I've seen, etc., etc., and yeah, this was kind of yeah,
Ransom is bringing up a
The
really good
tennis
point.
case
stuff.
No,
the
because you don't
case
know.
of the flying flower pots.
But the thing is, Ransom is bringing up a great point because you don't know how to. You had. I felt the same way. recently I called about a dog. Actually, it was not a emergency. I really felt like, who should I call? Is this what is the level of emergency
Yeah,
when
what
you start?
Mm.
constitutes an
Yeah, yeah,
emergency,
yeah.
right?
That's really unclear.
So
But
I
I
made the
think I would
call.
agree with Ransom though. But if it hits a car, I think that's a
It's property damage in
it's a
my eyes. So.
crime. Yeah.
Yeah. So I made the call and told my story, and okay, yeah, we might be coming back to you, and etc. And we have a local Facebook city district group, and I made a post there about the car hit by a potted plant, and I notified the police, etc. And they were really thankful, actually. I did, because for insurance reasons, I guess you have to make a complaint and yeah, tell
Hmm.
something, and yeah, and then about an hour later, my doorbell rang, and I wondered, who could that be? And then there was this female police officer and asking about if I made that call and was interviewing me, what did I see, and etc. etc. And I was quite nervous, actually, a police officer in my home. And yeah,
Hmm.
no
Yeah.
reason to be, actually, but hey, it kind of was.
And now you're married.
This was my first interaction. Hmm?
Awesome. And now you're married to that officer, right?
Yeah, hopefully she was kind of cute, but yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Ransom.
But they were actually the owner of the car were actually quite thankful I made that call, and yeah, was quite
That's
well
awesome.
received in that district city group Facebook. Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's true. I've got a story about that. I was at an intersection and I was waiting to turn left, so I had this red arrow that prevented me from turning left, and the light my way was green for straight through traffic, and
Hmm.
this car was to my right, going the other direction through the intersection, and then a car came from behind and hit her right into the intersection.
And pushed her into the intersection.
Yeah, pushed her into the intersection, and so the police came, and the guy was saying the light was green,
Hmm.
and I said no, my light was green, and so I made my report, gave my gave my witness testimony or whatever, and I would say 8 or 9 months later, I got a phone call, and it was the woman who had gotten hit, and she said that my testimony had been used in court to show that he was at fault. Like, had I not done that, it would have been unclear who was at fault in that accident.
Hmm. They don't have to notify you about this? I guess not, because you already consented when you give the testimony.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
yeah. So I didn't have to go to court, which was nice. It was just a written testimony that was submitted to the court.
What's
But so it does make a difference.
Yeah. It makes a difference to speak up when you see something, and to take a stand and to be an active um, citizen
Part of the community.
of the community. Absolutely. Uh, this has nothing to do with emergency, but along the lines of what Ransom said, what I do, what I've been doing here at the park when I walk with the dog in the morning, the crows, they pick out the trash, and in Germany they don't. They have open trash cans. It's really dumb actually. And so they're stuffed, and then the crows take it out, and then everything is all over the place, right? And so
Yeah,
there's like a little stream where I live in the park, very nice. Kids play there with adults, with their parents, and I kid you not, when I go sometimes in midday, the trash from overnight that was taken out by the birds is still almost halfway in the water, including diapers, and the kids
no,
play there with the parents, and the parents do not pick this shit up. I'm not kidding you. And last time I go in there, and I'm not going to say like this is typically German, but I'll tell you, wait for this, because one of the responses was so telling. So, I go there and I just pick it up. I take a doggy bag to have a clean hand, plastic of the hand, and I pick it up and put it back. And one of the mothers, I know her, and she's quite nice. I'm not trying to guilt anyone. I'm trying to lead by example. But she says, yeah, they could really, the city could really pick this up. And I go, yeah, that's true. But you could also pick it up, right? I mean, this is so I don't know. Of course, I'm mad that the city is cutting down on weekend trash pickup. Of course, but we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. Why not pick it up in the meantime and then call the city and make a very nice call and say, guys, we have this issue, and maybe on Sundays you get a guy to pick it up on Sundays, right? So.
Yeah.
It's not in the theme of emergency, but
It's,
it's kind of an emergency because it has to do with, like Ransom was putting this on the table, has to do with being an active member of the community, which
uh,
includes virtual communities. So the Joker is where did he go? Did he have a?
I don't know where the Joker went.
We got to get his medication from the nurse. I think he'll be back. Um,
Daisy, you got one?
Yes, just 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, my dinner's just arrived, but yes, well, I've got two actually. I was trying
Oh.
to, well, I was trying to decide between them. One of them
you
is
can tell
probably
both.
fairly,
I'll have
yeah,
two
one of
too, and
them,
I'll be very concise today.
yeah, one of them is fairly quick. Well, they're both probably fairly quick. Yeah, well, the only time I think I've ever, well, I have personally haven't ever phoned 911, but my parents did, and they initially were. You see, Ransom was saying before about when do you phone? Well, we were living in the country then, and we looked out the window and saw this car was on fire. It was just parked in the road, just it was just a country lane. There was nobody obvious around, and it was really going up. The flames going right up into the sky. And my parents were sort of saying, "Oh no, it's only a car. Just leave it."
Oh yeah,
No,
nothing to
there could be
see.
somebody in it.
What's up with the
Getting
car?
saved.
Flower
So
clockwork.
I was sort of saying, yeah, you should phone 999, phone the fire brigade. So yeah, they did eventually. So all right, we'll phone the fire brigade. So yeah, the fire brigade said, and apparently my parents they went out and saw them all.
Your parents are very low key. They're sitting there drinking their
Yeah,
tea.
Very
yeah,
relaxed.
that's right.
Yes.
I know.
Type B
Yeah,
to the extreme.
The
yeah,
news
well,
is on in 20 minutes. There. Get
yeah,
the biscuits
I
ready.
mean, the fire brigade, well, apparently they confirmed that, yeah, they should, it was the right thing to do to phone them up. So, yeah, which I was pretty sure that it was really. Fortunately, there was nobody in the car, but I mean, I was just thinking,
How old
my
were
God,
you,
they could
Daisy,
be.
when this happened?
Oh no, I was an adult by then, from 20s or something,
Oh, so you were
30s
in
I
your
think.
20s. So
Yeah,
the
30.
child becomes wiser than the
Yeah,
parent.
that's around that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I
It's
think
around
it's.
that
I
time
think
when
that's
you got to take
been
over.
true for a while. Yeah, that's been true for a while. I think not that they listen to me most of the time, but if I start yelling
So
and
they still don't listen to
stamping
you.
my foot,
When was the
they still
last
don't listen
car?
to me.
When was the last car on fire?
Related to that, actually, it's quite interesting because there's been studies done on how people react in emergencies. Not that
Oh
from
yeah,
our
yeah,
point of
yeah,
view
yeah.
that was an emergency, but partly people react in very distinctive ways. Some people literally freeze, and they
Yeah.
become completely incapable of doing anything. And I wonder if maybe my dad is like that, but I don't, because we did have an incident with our dog. Our dog collapsed. It was rather horrible. One of our dogs collapsed and died in front of us, which was rather sad. And my dad was completely useless. So where me and my mum were sort of running around desperately, trying to sort of save,
Save the dog,
deal
yeah.
with the situation. Yeah.
I wonder if
And so
that's
yeah,
genetically, if you're wired
other
like that,
people.
or somehow.
I don't know. It's interesting, and
Kind of.
another subset of people apparently they rush in, regardless of their own personal safety.
Yeah.
The building on fire, and they were sort of trying to rush in,
Yeah.
regardless of the situation. But apparently, most people will think, will actually make a calculated think rationally about what's going
Well,
on.
I think it depends also
Now, you
on
see,
Yeah.
when I was able
on the
bodied,
matter of.
Daisy,
Mhm.
Hold on. Well, I
Yeah.
was able-bodied, Daisy. I would have wanted to run into the fire because I would have wanted
Right.
to see what
Yeah.
it was like. I was an adrenaline junkie,
Oh
so I'd be like, oh, I wonder
God.
what it's like to be in a
Yeah.
building that's on
I,
fire.
I,
I'm that idiot.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not sure that's quite what they
Shyla would have
mean. But it's
got
more,
into the car that was on fire and said, "I can still drive that."
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean,
but
if you hold out a free car to me, I'm going to be all excited, right? It's on fire. No, no, I'll take it.
yeah. But anyway, my other incident was when I was 9 years old. In fact, when I was very young, and my best friend then at school. This was when I was at school. She also had dwarfism, but a different type of dwarfism to me. She had brittle bones. She was very tiny, and extremely brittle. And we obviously used to spend quite a bit of time together because we were friends. And one day we were just coming going along the corridor there, and a boy ran past her and bashed into her wheelchair.
Oh
And I
shit.
didn't quite see what happened, but the next thing I knew, Sophie was screaming and screaming. She'd obviously something had broken, and and it was quite a deserted part of the school. There was no one else around. The boy immediately vanished, and so she couldn't, she was in an electric wheelchair, but because she'd actually broken her arm, and so she couldn't drive. She was just sat there stuck, screaming, and I had to sort of decide what to do, whether should stay with her or whether go off and find someone. I started to go off and try and find someone, but by the time I'd found someone, I think someone else had found her, and so yeah, she broke her arm. The kid broke her arm apparently. So I mean, I was imagining, she could have broken anything. It could have been, yeah.
As far as you remember, were you did you react fast? You were saying, or was it hesitant? I mean, can you remember how this
No,
felt?
I
Like,
remember. Yeah, I think I'm one of the. Apparently, the majority of people react in a quite sort of rational way. They, immediately start to think, oh, what should what should I do? The way my brain seems to work when in an emergency situation is I become very focused.
hmm
My brain immediately starts calculating rapidly should I do this, should I do that, should I do the other?
hmm
And quickly try to come to a decision about the best course of action. I mean, I don't just panic blindly and either rush into the building or freeze or because I tend to become extremely focused. Very wide. The adrenaline obviously is going,
hmm
and I've become sort of very wide awake and thinking hard and very very conscious, I guess, of what's going on and.
I
Uh,
wonder how. I mean, this is really
No, so
interesting.
I
I
don't
mean,
know how other people react, but I feel like I've become very smart. Sort of like pull out all the stops and
yeah, I mean, this is what adrenaline.
very
I mean, from a
focused.
chemical
Yeah,
reaction, that's what adrenaline does. I mean, it really gives you resources that you otherwise don't have.
yeah.
And I think this is an interesting question how other people react. I was part of the Red Cross, and during the Oakland fire in Northern California, the big one back in the late 80s or early 90s. And, my job, one of my trained jobs was to go up and assist with evacuation behind the fire line.
Hmm.
And in most cases, that was very close to that fire. That fire moved very, very quickly.
hmm
And so, in most cases, that was close to the fire line, and most people were already evacuated and gone. They had heeded the message. But the people that were left,
hmm
one woman was left because an older woman that I met who could not find her dog, a collie, which we found under the master bed. The dog had crawled under the bed in fear. And so once we got her dog out, she drove away. Another woman was trying to hose down her house, but she had no water pressure because the fire hoses were taking all the water. And so I tried to talk to her and say, the firemen have got it from here. There's nothing you can do. You're not actually getting your house wet. But to her, she was. To her, she was spraying water on her house.
Mm.
It was kind of a delusion. And then a couple of blocks away from the fire line, there were these people in lawn chairs having a fire party.
Jesus.
And I went back up to that area that I had evacuated a couple of weeks later, and there was only one house left standing. Like, I don't know what happened to those people. As a Red Cross volunteer, you cannot force someone to evacuate. You have to try to talk them into it. And I did not talk the partiers, and I did not talk the woman with the hose into evacuating that area.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting how people respond differently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost as
I
if
think
everybody is an individual and not just a number.
a
Well, I
lot of
think
people
most people
underestimate
evacuated.
danger, don't they? Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, I mean, I'm up in an area of probably 50 houses, and in those 50 houses, I meet three people who don't evacuate. One
Mm-hmm.
because she cares for a pet, and once that is resolved, she evacuated like everybody else. And then two others who just were not going to be, that seems to make it like maybe about 4% of the population.
Mm. This reminds me of this has nothing to do, but all this talk about fire reminds me of probably the only film that, well, one of the few films made after a book that is actually really good, which is the film Fahrenheit 451 after Ray Bradbury's book. And there's a scene where they detect this one woman who has a secret library, and they of course have to in that future scenario, the fire department is there to set fires and burn books, and they burn those books, and the woman chooses not to leave. I just had that vision in front of my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be me. In there with all my precious books. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, this is
Not the books,
this should be
no.
a theme about people, like how different. Because I think what's so fascinating about the time we live in is that we have so much breakthroughs in brain imaging, where we're getting very close to looking at different genetic makeups and how the brain fires with different people in the same situation. And I hope that research will lead to more good feedback in society, how to deal with different different people, different learners, and all that stuff. Because a lot of stuff you intuitively know, but now it's being sort of proven by science, I feel. It's a very,
Yes, I think that's true.
yeah.
And you even look back, like when I was going through my mom's things, I found some things from my grandfather, and he was apparently into living healthy, and a lot of the things were to
Wow,
mix
look at
apple
that.
juice, or yeah, apple juice with apple cider vinegar,
Oh,
and they're actually beginning to find out that there is some truth in this
yeah,
as they do research. And all this, the folklore and everything else,
yeah,
there's a reason people repeated this over and over. They got a result that was positive.
yeah. That stuff is fascinating. But even more with I mean, what I'm waiting for is that we have definitive that we will identify an empathy gene. I think that that'll clear up a lot of confusion because I do feel personally that there's got to be an explanation why some people cannot stop crying when they see a fly that is dying, and others congratulate themselves with big parties and expensive champagne when they caused misery for any number of people. So why
Right.
can one brain sort of compartmentalize that? And I'm not even talking about mass murder. I'm talking about any type of just doing, profiting from misery, basically. Um, vis-a-vis, the crybabies like me. I'm Jack Bauer inside though, as I always say. I can defuse the bomb. Okay, can I tell
Jack
my
Bauer.
story?
Yeah, tell
Al,
your
do you want
story,
to say
Drex.
something? Al can type if you want, Al, and then Ransom can tell another one. Okay, I'll be quick. So when I came to America in 1995, my first car was a Cadillac, a piece of crap, broke down all the time, and then I had a Mitsubishi Mighty Max, which is a pickup truck, broke down all the time too. But those cars back then, remember, if you got your keys locked in, remember how you could open them, right? You could sort of push almost like a ruler, like a metal ruler,
Mm-hmm.
in between the window and the rubber there, right? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? You can
Yes,
you can
yeah,
push it down and then try to finagle the thing up the
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 lock.
the lock, right? And then the lock comes up because it's just a mechanical thing,
Right.
and then you can open the door because it's that button that you push for the kids at home who don't know what we're talking about. There was a button that you pushed, and so basically, when you locked your doors but you left your window open, then people could just sort of pull this button up, and then your door was open, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I had this Mitsubishi Mighty Max, small pickup truck, parked in the Glendale Galleria, made famous by Frank Zappa in Valley Girl, and now going to the Galleria. I don't know what I did there. I hate shopping, but I was somehow at the Galleria. I locked my keys into my car, locked the doors, go into the Galleria, do my thing, go back into the parking garage, want to open the door, look, where's my keys? Oh my God, I locked my keys inside. Oh my God. Shit. So I go back to the Galleria. I go back to a store. I don't remember what store that was. And I said, "Oh my God, I locked the keys in my car. I mean, I don't know what to do." And that was a week after that transmission died on the road with a freaking bass player with his bass amp in the back there. But that's another story. So the guy in the store says, "Wait a minute. What kind of car do you have?" I said, "Oh, I got this small pickup truck, Mitsubishi Mighty Max." They go, "Ah, that's easy. You just shimmy the thing in there, the ruler, and then you pull it out. I mean, it takes a little bit of practice. You got to find the place down there when it hits it. Then you pull it up and you hold it like at a 45-degree angle a little bit, and you pull it up, and then the knob comes up, and then that's that." And I go like, "Cool. Um, but where do I get one of those things?" The metal rules. And the guy grins and says, "I have one." And I go, "Are you a car thief?" Well, I didn't say that, but say, "Okay, cool. Give me the thing, and I'll go in there. I'll open the car, and I'll bring it back to you." So I go back to the parking garage, empty parking garage, pretty empty. Nobody in there, absolutely nobody. I remember that. I can visualize it now. I go to my car. I put the thing in there. I jam it in there. I play around, and I can't find the spot where it hits the thing. And so I go back and forth for several minutes and go like, "Oh God, this is really not that easy." And then I hear a calm voice that pro-
I bet everyone,
that
I know
proje-
what's gonna
that
happen.
that pro- Daisy knows what's gonna happen. But nonetheless, like a kind of a loud voice that projects, and the voice says, "Sir, lift your hands slowly so I can see them."
You got a 503 in progress.
And I was like, "Oh crap!" And I said, "This is my car." "Yeah, sure. Lift your hands." And I lift my hands, and the cop comes in, and he has his gun pulled at me as and then he sees that I'm just a young German idiotic immigrant, and then he puts his gun away and says, "Okay, so," and he takes he takes the thing, and it takes him 15 seconds to open the car, and he goes like, "You gotta be the dumbest car thief I've ever seen. Have a good drive home." So that's my story. Yeah, including a gun pulled on me. Oh, hey, who's out there? Wait, General Zod! Come on in. We have open mic. We're talking about emergency stories. Come on in. Everybody can share a story. Here's General Zod. Yeah, so any other stories, or
Hey, General Zod.
shall I follow up with another one real quick?
I don't know, Al. Do you have a story, Al?
After you. Oh, L. Okay, L. And General
Al.
Zod, you can also type in chat if you want. Okay,
Yeah. If
who's
you don't want
reading
a
L?
voice, you type in chat. I'm reading, but Al's not typing anything, so
He is.
I'm thinking he just wants to listen
No,
today.
no, he is.
Is he typing?
He's typing. Oh my God.
How
One
come I
night.
don't see his typing symbol?
Oh, you can turn that off.
Oh, I'm in the wrong chat. One night, somewhere around 1997, we were with a couple of friends while camping in the south of Belgium.
Oh, that starts good. Belgium, always good. Something is always happening in Belgium.
As we sat round the campfire, we suddenly saw 7 bright lights in the sky. They kept changing color in a slow, smooth fashion.
Oh my God!
Oh.
As they
Oh!
started to form random geometrical shapes, it became clear that this was not normal. Although mesmerized, we actually got really scared and decided to call 911. I don't blame you, man. That's wild.
Well, you were in Belgium. I think that's normal.
As we dial the number and are almost to get through to the emergency service, we hear a loud whizzing sound and we are plunged into a blackout. Total pitch black and total silence.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
3 months ago, suddenly light and sound started to come back in. It took me a few days to realize I had re-emerged, not back into real life, but in this world of Sansar. This is how I got here. That is awesome.
Finally we know what L stands for.
Origin story.
Alien. You get it? Alien.
Alien.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's a long time. 1997. The 90s. See, my thing happened in 1996 with my car. Al,
Oh my gosh.
that is a good story. General Zod, is that how you got here too? If you want to tell a story.
Almost, he says.
I think the general came from the Soviet Union.
He says he was drunk.
Wait, you mean when you were in Belgium with Al?
This is his origin story. Don't laugh, Shyla.
Oh, I see. He was so drunk that he signed up to Sansar. Meanwhile, he wanted to sign up to VR chat. He made a mistake. Wrong website.
I was too drunk and I woke up here.
He was playing in VR.
The
It's
wrong
like, oh,
side of the world. He doesn't know how to get back home.
that's right.
He's trapped in Sansar. Oh, this is horrible.
Did you sleep
I mean,
in
I
so-
love Sansar, but
Yeah, it's horrible if you don't want to be here, if you wake up here and stuff, and crepuscular zone.
Crepuscular.
I think you also slept in some lava rocks.
You got red
something.
paint everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't get it in the office here, though.
Yeah, and
Not
don't
in the studio.
He's stealing my VHS tape.
He's got some arrows back there too. I wonder if instead of Captain Zod, he was at first initially trying to be Cupid.
Oh, well, he also stole my Matrix VHS tape.
He's a so no. He says no. This is powder from a Thai massage I had in another experience.
Is that one listed in the atlas? I don't think so.
No, it's not in the atlas. These things don't happen in Sansar.
They don't. Exactly. Exactly. Don't give people false hope.
No. Okay. Oh, emergency story. So you've heard two of mine.
Wait, there's two people outside. Come on in, folks. Who is this?
Come on in.
Sky gazing. Come on in.
He's got that angle.
Ah, gotta close this
Just
window.
observing at the moment, listening in.
Okay.
Lurking a little bit, if that's all right.
Lurking. You have a Swedish accent.
I do, yeah, that's correct.
I'm so good at detecting Swedish people now these days.
I'm impressed because most people don't, since I don't live in Sweden.
I deal with a lot of Swedish
All
people.
right, thumbs up.
The whole
Why
Linden
is that?
Why? I don't know.
Why?
Well, Linden
Okay.
Lab is now has been overtaken by Swedish people. The CEO.
Maybe I should apply.
You should. They are they're totally unfair hiring practices. I applied there and then they said, "Are you Swedish?" And I said, "No, I'm German." And he said, "Well, okay then, goodbye." I mean, this
That's rude.
shouldn't be legal.
But surely they should know how efficient German people are.
Exactly. That actually never happened. I just made that up. But
I have a German coworker, so I actually know how efficient they can be. Jesus Christ, keeping up with that.
I went to school with a lot of Germans who are total flakes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah.
Maybe cultural stereotypes are not always true.
Probably
Not
not.
every Swedish person lives in IKEA, or do they?
I wish I did, but that is mainly because I don't live in Sweden and I miss it.
Do you live in America?
No, I live in the UK.
Oh, I'm
We do have IKEA here, but
yeah.
I don't live there. I don't even live near.
You could, if you get homesick, then you just go into the IKEA.
Yeah, no, I know they've made some changes.
Come on here. You don't have to talk. We're not. We're doing open mic. Usually we do open mic in one of the houses, but the houses are renovated.
Okay.
Emergency.
This is the only world I can find people in.
Yeah, this is
people.
the only world with people.
Hi, people.
We are here at 114 Harvest, and this is some sort of a cult. So I'm the cult leader. We do sometimes.
No, not today.
Oh, not today, right? So today,
Yeah,
Shyla is the cult leader. Sometimes
Elections.
we sacrifice animals, and no,
To
I'm
the
just
gator.
making stuff up.
Yeah.
So
Especially fish. Any fish that come in,
Yes,
they go to
please.
the gator.
no, but
Yum,
seriously,
yum.
So
this
nice
is,
to meet you, Sky Gazing.
yeah. And today is Shyla.
Yeah,
is,
nice to meet you too.
I should shut up because I'm not even in charge today. Shyla is hosting open mic every Tuesday 9 a.m. Oh, Wednesday, right? Today is Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, 9 a.m. And Space Sailor was a volunteer fireman, we found out while you were gone.
Oh,
So I'm guessing you have some sort of emergency stands out for you. Maybe you were even a hero. See, I'm thinking maybe, you're a fireman that kind of makes you a hero. You know what I mean?
mm.
Many scary ones. Wow.
Oh, I
But
forgot.
we don't talk about work. I hear you.
Okay.
If you're a hero, dude, that's awesome.
Space Sailor is a hero. That's why he's allowed to mention the frame rates. That's normally a no-no in the cult.
No, but he said the frame rate was good, so I let it go.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
he
sure
said
the frame
was
rates
good.
love to hear that. Send
Yeah.
him a memo. Can I say something?
Yes.
Oh,
Say
Space,
something,
I don't want
please.
to interrupt you, but I have my second story. Well, my dad was the head of the fire department he was coordinating fire department in Bavaria, in the state of Bavaria, fire department and police department. And I alluded to this last time. I grew up with all these really, really scary stories as a child. When he was just casually saying stuff like I sometimes I wonder if emergency doctors do the same thing, like at dinner they go like, this guy came in with a gunshot wound and he bled all over the floor. This is very good. So my dad was like, how are the beans?
Did you tucking into your raw steak? Yeah.
Yeah. How are the beans? Oh, the beans are very good. Oh, by the way, there was this case where 3 people slept and their television imploded and it was not even on because the little electricity that runs into the television, even when it's on standby, it can implode and the whole apartment building burned down. Can I have a refill on the wine? But yeah. So all these stories, and But my other quick story about emergency was when I was 17. Um, we were drinking. Uh, I don't drink at all. For a long time I haven't, and I also don't smoke any weed. I don't know why that's any why that has any relevance. I guess I want to say that this was an occurrence that really did shock me because when you're 17, when you're that age, you kind of feel invincible and you feel nothing can harm you. So we were playing around at a friend's house and we were sitting on the ground. There was this very fluffy white carpet, and we were drinking beer, and the beer bottles were on the ground, and I was pretty hammered, and I wanted to get up, and I pushed myself up with my hand, my left hand, and I pushed myself up on the beer bottle. The beer bottle broke, of course, and cut really deeply right here, very deeply right here in my left hand. And everybody was like, "Oh, I know the blood is coming out." Blood was coming out, and somebody gave me a napkin. I put the napkin on. It was almost like a little crater was coming out. It was pretty bad, but nobody noticed it. And people were just having a good time, and people were drunk, and I didn't feel anything, any pain or anything. So I just pressed that napkin on it, and then we decided to go to a local bar. And again, for our American friends, I have to say that drinking beer at ransom notice is legal in Germany from age 16 onward. Whatever you may think of it,
Yep.
that's also the current law. So you will encounter in Germany a lot of youth basically also drinking beer in public and such in the subway. So we wanted to go to this bar, and I basically taped with like scotch tape. I taped this napkin over my wound, and again, I didn't notice it. Nobody really paid any attention to it. And then Joseph was the name of the guy whose house we were in. His mother comes in, and I remember this to this day. They were Romanian immigrants. She had this thick accent, and this is the one person that I do hold responsible because I was sitting there, we were all drunk, and the blood was on the white carpet. There was a lot of blood. And she came in, and all that she said was, "Oh, the carpet is going to be ruined. The carpet is going to be ruined. It's a white carpet. Zeppy, Zeppy." Joseph, short form is Zepp in Bavaria. "Zeppy, you have to tell your friends to clean the carpet. Are you guys having a good time? Goodbye." And then she left. And so we were going to the bar. And then the alcohol wears off a little bit. We're dancing, talking, and after an hour or so, alcohol wears off, and I start feeling the pain. And there's another guy from a band. I mean, we were all musicians in that scene, and the bass player from another band comes up to me and says, "Hey, what's happening with your hand? Show me." And he peels back the napkin, and there's this flesh wound. And again, it looks like Diamond Head, like a little volcano thing
Oh
coming out,
no.
really bad. And he goes, "Oh shit, dude, you gotta go to the emergency room." And I go like, "Ah, it's not that." "Oh well, actually, it is bad. I feel the pain." And then this guy called 911, 110, and the ambulance came, and I don't recall if somebody came with me. I think somebody came with me, maybe that guy. So they drive me to the hospital. I get out, and at this point, I'm pretty sober, and I go like, "Shit, this is pretty bad. Let's just hope that my parents don't notice that. I gotta keep this under the radar. It's 1 in the morning." And I mean, my parents were pretty cool about this. They were saying like, maybe he sleeps over somewhere, so they were not like worried that I wasn't home yet. So I was already sort of scheming like, how do I how do I avoid that my parents learn about this thing? And so I'm sitting there, and then the nurse comes. And the nurse says, "Okay, so what's your insurance?" And I go, I don't know. I'm insured through my parents." "Okay, then we need your mother's maiden name and her date of birth." And I go, "Shit, I don't know when my mother's born. I don't know."
Oh no.
And then the
You don't
nurse,
know
like
you don't know your
hardcore,
mother's birthday?
It's 17. Who cares about your parents? Uh, but wait, so and then the nurse, I mean, the hats off to the medical first responder. She goes like, okay, well then call your mom and I'll get back to me about that. And she leaves, and I'm sitting there. The pain is like, what the hell, the pain? And we're talking about 1987, payphone. So I go to the payphone. It's 1 in the morning, or maybe two. I don't know. I'm calling home. My mother picks up the phone. Hello? I go, hey mom, hi, how are you? Can I can I ask you a question? What's your birth date? She's, what the hell? It's 2 in the morning. Where are you? Oh my God! Don't worry about it. I'm at the hospital. All I need is your birth date. Oh my God! We're coming. Which hospital? And that's the end of that story. And then they arrived 20 minutes later, and I was in a lot of trouble. But that's the emergency. Yeah. So the moral of this story, of course, is for young kids watching at home, write down your parents'
Yes, pay attention
information.
to your mother's birthday.
Pay attention to your mother.
I'll answer that question there. Over here, they don't worry about your mother's birthday. No.
Well, it was. I don't recall. I remember this distinctly, but it was because I was insured through my parents as a teenager, and I didn't have a card. I mean, today you have cards, right? You have insurance cards. You just hand that in. It has all the information on it. But back then it was they needed to have certain information. Yeah. So
And one day they'll just put chips in us all and they'll just scan them.
mm, they, the nefarious they. We're still in
They.
charge. We're still in charge. Drax Brew is fake. Wait a minute. General Zod is trying to change the subject here.
Well, no, when you said you don't drink anymore, then he said, oh, well,
Oh!
then that means Drax Brew is
Oh, I
fake.
see. Oh, good point, General Zod. Well, General Zod, let me tell you something about drugs. If you sell, you don't take. Otherwise, you're not making the dough. You see? I run an empire. I run the Drax Brew Empire. As you may have noticed, it's the number one beer brand in all of Sansar. So I can't drink.
What about Daisy Swamp
Yeah,
Dew?
I
She's
was about
standing
to
right
say.
here.
What?
I was about to
Oops.
say, well, yeah, well,
Oops,
I
Stacy, I'm
don't
sorry.
know what that is. Not beer. I don't know what it is, to be honest.
Swamp?
Vodka,
You
maybe,
cannot.
or gin. Gin, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think swamp. Do we have some swamp water? I thought swamp water was more like a tonic. I mean, it was really it's sort of pharmaceutical properties almost. Am I right?
Yeah. It's not beer. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think you can you probably cornered the beer market there. I'm
yeah.
not quite
And you
sure what.
cornered the swamp water market.
Yeah. Yeah.
The, we can all coexist. You see, Shyla, how beautiful this is. This wonderful capitalism. We just occupy these different niches. Now, all that Al needs to come in.
A monopoly here, monopoly there, here, monopoly, there, monopoly, everywhere, a little monopoly.
Al needs to come in with his Alienware. Alienware. Wait, what is General Zod saying? Draxiberg.
I have an Alienware, you know that.
Yeah, yeah. Did Al
Yeah.
put that together in his
I
bedroom?
bet he did.
So,
Just for me.
Skygazing, would you like to share a story here at the open mic?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, that's okay. No requirement to share.
I detected
I
Skygazing.
honestly didn't even know what I was joining in on. I just saw people.
Yeah. It's all about the people in social VR. I mean, I might be wrong, but I thought that
People needing people.
we meet here every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and at 11 o'clock today is the music club, which is also very fun.
Are the luckiest people
Okay.
And
in the
on
world.
Saturday you may meet fellow Swedes, a lot of them, at least one.
One, yeah.
You're a Swede. They're a Swede. Everywhere, Swede.
Okay,
Oh,
Come to
airbag. Yeah.
Sansar, Atlas Hop.
so we have a few minutes left. Then I have to hit the road as well. Who has another story? Quick, or I'm going the quickest on the draw. I have another one.
No, no, I got one. I got one.
Wait, hold on.
So,
Oh, Canada Boy 77 is outside. Okay, Canada Air Boy. Go ahead,
okay.
Shyla.
So, I used to cycle a lot. When I was able bodied, I used to be a big cycler. And
Hmm.
so, come spring, I would start, as soon as the weather was nice, I would start riding to work. So, the road I ride down is a pretty busy road.
Oh
And
no.
I'm riding down this hill, and this car, and there's a lot of traffic, and this car decides he can beat me to the driveway.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm going about 25, 30 miles an hour because it's downhill, and I'm passing these cars. And this car comes up from behind me and turns in front of me. So he was really moving, and I can't miss him. I turned into the curb,
Hmm.
and I go flying up onto this parking lot, which is what he was turning into.
Well, you wanted to turn in there too?
No, I just didn't want to hit him.
Hmm.
If I hadn't have done the turn, I would have run into his car because he turned in front of me. So I turned to avoid hitting his car. I go flying over. I remember it was so surreal because I saw the bumper of the car, and it was this beautiful old car with one of those chrome bumpers. I
Hmm.
remember kind of admiring that as I'm flying through the air. And I get knocked out cold. And when I come to, I hear an engine, and I'm thinking it's probably that car that cut me off, right? That caused this. And I hear it, and it's just idling there, and then I hear it drive away,
Hmm.
and I can't move. I can just hear stuff. I can't see anything. I can't move. Finally, my eyes open. I still can't move, but I heard this Hispanic voice, and finally my eyes open, and there's this nice Latino gentleman over me, obviously trying to ask if I'm okay. I don't speak Spanish very well. And so I had just bought this new altimeter, and I had to find that and everything. Some people pulled over to be witnesses to the accident, but I felt fine. I felt really great. And so I didn't call any emergency services or anything. I told them I would just ride the bike back home and drive to work. And I mounted my bike, and in my tire, from where it had hit the curb, there was an L shape. Like it wouldn't ride at all. And I didn't see any of these things. In fact, I sent everybody away, and then I collapsed.
That's a. Oh my God.
Yeah, I collapsed. And so I crawled to this restaurant that my mom and I used to go to quite a bit. But it's daytime. Mom and I went at night, so it's a different shift. And I go in there, I'm all scratched up, I'm bleeding. Like I had no idea I was in this bad a shape.
This
And
is
I
the
ask them
shock.
if I can
Yeah.
use their phone to call home. Like I still don't want to call 911. I ask if I, and she says, no, you can use the payphone outside. And I don't have change, and the payphone doesn't have dial tone. And I came back in, and fortunately, the owner came through, and
This is
she
almost like the mother
recognized
when
me.
with the blood on my story. Like you're coming in there bleeding. It's like, can I use the phone?
Yeah,
They go like, no, you go outside, use the payphone. What the
use the
hell?
payphone. What is that? And so mom came, picked me up. We put the bike in the back. I was training for a ride, and so I asked her to take me to the bike shop. Like I'm still not with it, but mom, being smart, like she's just like, yeah, and then when she stops the car, we're at the ER.
Mhm.
Like she had just taken me to the ER. She just
Wow.
knew that I was a blabbering idiot, who didn't realize how significant a
State of
thing had
shock.
just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. State of shock. Wow.
That's my story.
That's interesting. You see this the commonality with people where you can step in. I mean, where you need to have open eyes about stuff like with you're coming in there and they just say like, yeah, use the phone outside or Joseph's mother coming in and say, the carpet is dirty. People are
Yeah,
bleeding, lying on the
on the carpet.
Could you please
Clean it
clean the
up.
carpet, please? Yeah,
Oh no, the carpet. Oh no.
oh, the carpet. I say it in German for Ransom because she had this accent. Seppi, Seppi, du musst den Teppich, muss sauber sein. Teppich ist sehr teuer.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, so I was thinking about next week,
Yeah,
and they are doing
what's the
in
theme?
that other venue. They are doing that like fantasy fair thing.
Ah, see the
So
other
I'm
world.
thinking, yeah, that other world,
The one that's
um,
made by Linden Labs.
Linden Lab.
Ah, but see, if they make two worlds, maybe they have two different labs. Like one lab makes one world, and the other lab makes the other world, and then together it's Linden
But
Labs, huh? See?
sadly, only one is under copyright trademark.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the other
The other
lab
lab.
is free game.
So what are you saying? Like
so, so next week the theme is um, where we would want to go if we could go anywhere.
Oh, that is awesome.
Where would we go if we could go anywhere? So it doesn't even have to be on planet Earth.
Well, where's Al? Yeah, he wants to go back home.
He wants to go back home. Okay, stand on your toes and click your heels 3 times.
Or jump up and down. Woohoo.
Jump up and down. So I want to
Awesome.
thank everybody. Thank you, Ransom. Thank you, Captain Zod. Drax, thank you always. Al, Daisy, thank you. Nice to meet you, Sky Daisy. And who's back here?
Canada Air
This
Boy.
is Canadian Air Boy. Canadian Air Boy.
Canadair Boy, right? Canadair Boy, is that correct?
Oh, Canadair Boy. I got it.
Yeah.
I like it, and I love your avatar. That's awesome.
I don't like Canada Air Boy. I offered him friendship 5 years ago, and it's still a request pending. Oh, wait a minute. Sansar's not even 5 years old. I'm just joking.
No,
I'm
no.
gonna stop the stream. It's great. New people showing up. Sky gazing at 11 o'clock is music club. I can't be there because I have to go to the Fnatic thing. But Solus is hosting the music club. It's always really awesome. Solus and Mad Eye. I have to film the Fnatic thing, which is esports, which is not really my thing. But I'm also a corporate tool, so that's what I do,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Oops, I
All
streamed
right.
that.
I had it off. I had it off.
Sky Gazing, you
All
should
right.
know that we stream these things on YouTube and Twitch, just as a disclaimer, I guess, is necessary. But
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
I thought the
he's
last time
got
we went
signs otherwise.